If you need any Xbox or PlayStation codes or anything gaming related, check the referral links down in the description. They'll take you to g2a.com. They already have a discount on most of their goods already, and with the code CHES at checkout, you can get yourself an extra 3% off as well.
Hey guys, how's it going? Ches back again, and welcome to episode number 15 of the Inter Milan career mode here on FIFA 15. First things first, I want to say thank you to you guys for the most incredible response to the last episode. Obviously, we had to completely redo the series from start to present, and I was nervous about that video going up. I wasn't sure what sort of reaction it would get, but you guys were very, very supportive. I have to say, probably have the most supportive audience on YouTube of anyone that I've ever seen or watched. It's ridiculous how supportive you guys are of me in the series that we put out, and I genuinely can't thank you enough for that. So we will continue on into this transfer window. There are a few suggestions obviously in Monday's episode, and not Monday's episode, this is Monday's episode. There are a few suggestions in Friday's episode for Monday's episode. As you can see, we're getting numerous offers for Samir Handanovic, but obviously going to reject all of those. Now I'm looking for a wide player, I'm looking for a striker, I'm looking for a centre mid and a centre back. Now at present, as you can see, we're putting in a cheeky bid for Marco Sal. You guys seemed quite keen on him, and also you seemed quite keen on Carrasco as well. So these are my two main targets. Obviously, as you can see, we don't have that big a budget right now. We are trying to move on a handful of players to try and free up some extra cash, but we're putting in a bid for Marco Sal. Again, rejecting another offer for Samir Handanovic, this time from Juventus. And obviously trying to work out a deal for Carrasco as well. They want about 20 million for him, but if I can work out a player plus cash deal, then maybe we can get him for a little bit cheaper. I'm trying to do the same with Marco Sal as well. Obviously trying to make the most of the small level of finances that we have right now. So we jump into the first game. It's a big one, to be completely honest. Inter away at Juventus Stadium. Very, very big and important game, as you can see on the league table coming up. We're second, they're fourth, and if they beat us, they'll go above us. Obviously, if we beat them, we can go above Roma at the top, and if we draw, well, nobody really wins or nobody really kind of advances there. So I was hoping for 3 points there. They're playing a 3-5-2, but obviously, as you can see, it's a very defensive 3-5-2 with two CDMs sat there in front of their three centre-backs, and very narrow three centre-backs as well. So I wasn't too sure what to expect from this. I wasn't too sure how to approach it. I presumed I'd probably have to go quite wide to try and utilise the extra space in behind their midfield line there, which is what I was going to try and do. As you can see, we've got Cherdan Shaqiri and Cavanda out wide, and that's going to be my plan for this game, was to work it into those wide areas. But we actually had the first chance coming kind of through the middle. Blasio is going to come back inside to Mauro Icardi here, make another really good run, but Icardi decides to have the shot himself, but it's a good save from Gianluigi Buffon, obviously one of the better goalkeepers in Serie A, and one of the better goalkeepers that football as a sport has ever seen, to be completely honest, throughout his entire career. So it's not going to be an easy task to get the ball past him, and Matteo Kovacic is going to try his best this time, but still another good save by the Italian veteran, and we stay at 0-0. So it's time for Juventus to have their first chance of the game. Coming down the left-hand side with Carlos Tevez, wasn't really too sure where he was going to go. I expected him to turn inside, and he didn't, and then we nicked the ball off him there, tried to get it clear and catch him on the counter-attack, but it wasn't the best of clearances. Paul Pogba knocks it down. There's Carlos Tevez into Fernando Llorente, finds Pereira, and that is a very well-worked move. After Tevez just kind of ran himself down a blind alley, my poor clearance was capitalised upon by their midfield and their strike force, and played straight through the middle, and a decent goal. But we are going to get ourselves back on level terms, thanks to a certain Mauro Icardi. So we're 1-1 5 minutes into the second half. All of the chances in the first, Buffon was able to come out on top, but this time we finally get the ball past him and have ourselves a goal on the score sheet. Unfortunately, though, it's 1-1, not 1-0, so we needed to try and get a second if we could, if we really wanted to get ourselves a win from this one. Cherdan Shaqiri breaks into the box, and that's quite an impressive diving header from Rodrigo Palacio. I thought the defender in front of him was going to get that clear, but some reason he kind of misjudged the flight of the ball, and Palacio was able to dive into it, and the keeper very nearly got there. It would have been a tremendous save if he had. I think the second replay shows it better. You see how close Buffon's going to get to it from right behind the ball. Brilliant header, but Buffon so nearly just throws that right arm up and gets up to it. But fortunately for me, it doesn't, and we go 2-1 in front. Then he came at me out wide again. Kwadwo Asamoah is obviously very heavily left-footed, and Vidal's going to get it into him here. A lot of space to run into, which was quite frustrating for me. Hits the post, it drops to Carlos Tevez, and typically a rebound goal brings Juventus back into the game at 2-2. I was fuming, that was a mixture of furious and fuming in one word. I was fuming that I'd let my lead slip after working so hard to get myself in front. So question was, Can I just continue to go back up the other end and get myself in front again? Brozovic with the shot, but that was... No, I couldn't decide whether that was a good shot and he was unlucky or whether it was just poor finishing. I'll let you guys decide on that one, but we're trying at the very death now, as you can see, in stoppage time at the end of the second half, to get ourselves this winner. Cavander down the right-hand side, really fast player, stands it up. There's Guarin with a header, hits the top of the bar, and that was the final chance of the game. The whistle went before Buffon could even take his goal kick. We get a point from the game against Juventus, which, like we said at the beginning, doesn't really benefit either side. They wanted to win to go above us and move up to second in the table, and we wanted to win to try and move top of the table. So we just kind of have to make do for now. But we're rejecting offers for Rodrigo Palacio, because obviously he's our top goal scorer at the minute, I think, at least of the three strikers that we've got right now, with Icardi, Palacio and Dybala. We are looking at Marco Sal, because obviously Palacio is 32 years of age now and will probably start to decline in ratings sooner rather than later. We are still trying to work out a deal for Yannick Ferreira Carrasco. They are interested in Agatamo. It's just a case of trying to eke out as much money as we can actually do, and then hopefully we'll be able to move Joel Obi on for 1.6 million. As you'll be able to see, I'm going to counter that offer here to Cagliari, and hopefully they'll accept that and we'll free up an extra little bit of funds to try and get ourselves the one of the two deals, whether it be Marco Sal or whether it be Carrasco. As you can see, the offer here has been accepted for Marco Sal, both contract and transfer fee. But I'm going to hold off for now because Carrasco is my preferred signing. I'll be completely honest. I would prefer to bring in a wide player than a striker at this specific moment in time. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with the Carrasco deal. Joel Obi is going to go to Cagliari for 1.6 million. So we jump into the second game of the episode here at home against Genoa, hoping to build on what was a decent performance away from home against Juventus. But obviously it would be nice to try and get 3 points in this one if we possibly could. And they're actually moved above us now with a victory in their obviously the game that they've played before we're playing this one. I think we were playing a day later than half of the other teams in the league. So a win here could still do us good and move us further up the table. We're starting at a very strong 11, as you can see. Palacio and Dybala up top rather than Mauro Icardi. I gave him a bit of a rest. He wasn't fully fit, and despite scoring a good goal against Juventus, I decided to give the other young Argentinian we have in our starting squad a cheeky little first team appearance. There's a weird formation for Genoa to start here. A 3-4-3 of sorts. It's a very wide midfield and a very wide front three as well. It's a peculiar formation. I've not really seen it played too often by many of the CPU teams, but Juan Jesus finds himself getting a nosebleed. He's so far up the pitch there. Plays the ball over the top to Dybala. I really wanted to get it onto his left foot, but it turns out we didn't need to because he just slid in, smashed it with the inside of his right foot and into the back of the net it went. So we have a 1-0 lead. Now the question was, can we hold it or build on it? Obviously we would like to get a decent lead to kind of give us a bit of a breathing space. We're going to catch them on the counter-attack here. Freddy Guarin has Paulo Dybala on the overlap here. This time we do get inside on his left foot, and I'm always confident with Dybala that he's going to put that into the back of the net. Really pleased with this signing. I'm glad you guys kind of forced me to buy him because he's been extremely good for us so far. That's 2 goals for him in the opening 30 minutes or so. Genoa, though, we're going to work themselves another opportunity here. As you can see, Kuka on the edge of the box gets it out to Iago Falque. I think he's on loan from Tottenham, or it may now be a permanent move. I'm not entirely too sure. But Kuka gets it to Iago Falque again, and he gets it round the goalkeeper into the back of the net. So 39 minutes in, they've pegged us back to 2-1, and that was why I kind of really wanted to make sure that we got that breathing space, because I never felt confident at the back in this game against Genoa. They were very, very good when it came to creating chances. But as you can see, Palacio's going to go on a nice tidy run here, actually. Turn his side really well into Freddy Guarin. Tries the finesse shot from distance, and he hit the bar at the end of the Juventus game, and he hits the bar again here in the 57th minute. Really unfortunate for Freddy. Scored a couple of good goals from us from distance and a couple of nice kind of arrival goals, you know, whether the player just kind of arrives late on the edge of the box to tap it into an empty net after we've worked the ball about. But Freddy Guarin, unfortunate there. They really should have made it 2-2 there. As you saw, a glorious opportunity. Empty net in front of him, and he put it wide. But Turner Shaqiri's down the left-hand side here. Nice little Ronaldo top inside. There's so much space on for the people on the edge of the box. Palacio's first touch was ridiculously poor, though. But Gary Medell's going to work it outside to Paulo Dybala again. Turn inside with a nice spin, take it around a couple of defenders, and that is a hat-trick for Paulo Dybala. Really pleased for him, and kind of proving his... or kind of putting his name in that first team spot ahead of Mauro Icardi. He really wants to start ahead of him. You can just tell he's playing really, really well. But then I wasn't too sure what happened there. I wasn't really looking at Dybala as he went down. I was obviously trying to look at the ball. I wasn't sure whether there was a collision off the ball, whether he kind of ran into someone and hurt himself. But you'll see from the replay, I'm going to put Mauro Icardi on as a substitute, and I actually ran out of substitutions, so he tried to make another change. But you'll be able to see from the replay, he's just running quite freely and then just drops as if he's been shot by a sniper. Bang, there you go, down, holding his right calf. And unfortunately, that's going to be quite a serious injury. He gets a hat-trick, Paulo Dybala, but after scoring in the 89th minute, there was still enough time left in the game for him to pick up that injury. You'll be able to see from the next slate that unfortunately, that injury is actually a torn calf muscle and it's going to be out for 3 months. So my hand was kind of forced here. I wanted to bring in Carrasco over Marco Sau, but I'm now a striker down for a significant period of the season as we head towards the business end of the season. So I kind of have to sign Marco Sau here. I really need to buy a striker to cover for the now injured Paulo Dybala. So unfortunately, we're having to buy. Obviously, Marco Sau was a transfer target I wanted to get anyway. I just would have preferred to get Carrasco in first. But hopefully, if we can move on a couple of other players, we will be able to free up the funds to bring in Carrasco as well. But for now, it's a kind of forced transfer, and I'm having to bring in Marco Sau to cover now for the unfortunate injury to Paulo Dybala. I think that's the first time this year that I've had an injury like that, where someone's just gone down with a muscle tear or a muscle injury, kind of without being in a challenge, just in open play, just gone down. So I guess it's quite realistic. That sort of thing does happen in real life. We just haven't seen it too much on FIFA 15. But as you can see here, going through a squad report, if there's anyone you want to have a closer look at, of course, feel free to click the pause button and you'll be able to have a closer look at someone's individual stats. But the whole side seems to be growing quite nicely. Obviously, I had to replicate all of the results to get here, so it's not exactly the same as the previous save. But the players that were growing on the previous save and are growing on this save are pretty much the same. So I'm pleased with how things are going so far. And hopefully we can continue to improve the squad throughout this window, and obviously by the time we get to the summer as well, hopefully we'll have some extra money, because I'm trying to move on 3 or 4 different players in this window to get ourselves the funds to bring in hopefully Carrasco or a centre back. I'm not too sure yet. We'll have to wait and see what happens throughout the rest of the window, because right now I've only got a couple of 100,000 rather than a couple of million to spend, and even though a couple of million probably still wouldn't be enough either. But we are looking to move on Hugo Campagnaro there, as you can see, 34 years of age now, and his stats are starting to quite significantly drop. So I think I'm trying to move on Campagnaro. We obviously have already moved on Joel Obi, or he's in the process of leaving us. I'm trying to move on Andreoli as well, the 28-year-old centre-back. And I would be open to letting Nagatomo or Jonathan go to bring in one of the wide players that I'd like, most notably Carrasco. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Obviously, a couple of the youngsters, I wouldn't have any problem using them as make weight as well, but a few of them are growing quite nicely. Dybala has been showing some good growth, but unfortunately now out for 3 months, like we say. So really, really unlucky for him, but hopefully he'll have a strong return when he does come back to the first team. He should be back before the end of the season. That shouldn't be a worry, but hopefully he can continue to grow before the second season, and then fingers crossed he can have a really strong second year for us alongside Mauro Icardi or Palacio, or even now Marco Sau, who's newly come up to the club. But as you can see, a couple of players that you would like to grow but haven't been so far, like Jonathan, like Lucas Podolski, but they've had a decent impact on the starting lineup anyway, so their growth isn't really too much of an issue or too much of a concern right now. A few of these loan players will actually move on in the second year, although Taider there actually looks like he could be a decent player, so we may move on another centre mid and bring him into the starting lineup. So we'll have to wait and see, because maybe if we bring in a wide player now, Taider could fill that centre mid spot that is left by Joel Obi. We might be able to avoid having to spend any money to bring in another centre mid. But the next game in tomorrow's episode is going to be a Coppa Italia game in the round of 16 against Sassuolo. So hopefully we can have a decent result there. And we are third in the table. That win against Genoa has moved us back above Juventus, and we maintain the Champions League spot that we had previously. But Roma, with a game in hand, can move 4 points clear of us and 3 points clear of the other side of Milan, who currently sit second. Napoli now down to 14th after being top on the previous save, unfortunately. But they're the only side that really have suffered thanks to the dodgy just FIFA 15 being FIFA 15, really. But anyway, thank you for all of the support on the previous episode. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this one, then hit the like button as well, and of course subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.